Hello, my bike lovers. Welcome back to the channel. This is my bike build, and I wanted to take this video as an opportunity to talk about flat bar bikes and the reason that I love them and the reason that I think actually probably for the average rider, they're the best option. If you're curious about gravel bikes, road bikes, hybrid bikes, something of that nature, I think this is a video that you want to chime in on and put your 2 cents on. We're trying to get past 500 subscribers. We're getting close. It's a great milestone for me. Never thought I'd really get any subscribers talking about bikes, but for those of you who have subscribed and for those of you who have left comments, likes, dislikes, whatever, you know I appreciate it. It increases the engagement. So let's get into it. And I think a lot of us, when we started riding on those bikes that our parents gave us, usually flat bar bikes, right? Usually mountain bikes, single gear bikes, bikes we get from Walmart, bikes you get from Toys R Us. There's a reason for most bikes starting off as flat bar bike. I would say reason number one, they're more comfortable. Riding in an upright riding position is probably the best position for someone just starting out on bikes, especially if you're a younger rider. But if it's been many years since you've been riding and you're re-getting into it, like for me it had been maybe 10 years, a decade since I'd last ridden to start riding again. And so it's kind of what you're used to. That flat bar position, especially if you get a bike that fits you nicely, it's just a more relaxed upright stance. It's perfect if you're a casual rider, a commuter, or someone dealing with back and shoulder pain. Now, if you are dealing with back and shoulder pain, I made a video about the reason that I don't ride with backpacks that you might want to watch and what you can do instead. And there's no need to hunch over. Another reason it can make it easier is that the wider handlebars that you generally have on a flat bar bike give you better steering leverage, meaning that when you're riding through the city, you're encountering potholes, you're trying to dodge cars and pedestrians, it just makes it easier to control. Not to say that it's super difficult on drop bars, but it's a little bit easier. And again, if you're a casual rider or you're a commuter or someone who's using a bike in a more functional way as opposed to a more athletic way, then I think this just adds more to the ease of riding, the comfort in riding, and the casual nature in riding your bike. Another reason that I really like flat bar bikes is it's usually simpler to use. The brifters, brakes / shifters that you use on a road bike, I feel like the learning curve as well as the control of the bike makes it a little bit of a higher learning curve to get used to, whereas the flat bar shifters, if you're using a bike that shifts, are just kind of easier to navigate. I feel like some people have said that a gravel bike is a bike that has drop bars, but I have all gravel bikes and an all-road bike that I have. One of my gravel bikes is a flat bar bike. I've made a video on some good options for flat bar gravel bikes, and I personally believe that for mixed surfaces, for off-road terrain, again, going back to that high leverage of the wider handlebars, it's easier to control. There's a reason why mountain bikes tend to be flat bar bikes. I mean, you can find some that are drop bar, but the vast majority of them, 95% and up, are pretty much flat bar. And that's because going off-road, off-terrain, if you're stomping on curbs in the city and riding on uneven pavement surfaces, we all know that when we're riding through the city, it's rare that you're gonna find a perfectly pristine pavement road. Most of them have potholes, a little bit of unevennesses, a little bit of those jitters. The flat bars just make it easier to navigate the actual city conditions that you're going to face. One reason that the flat bar also is something you might want to consider is there are more space for accessories. If you want to add a bell, a mirror, a cell phone holder, and even a front basket, the flat bar gives you more room for those accessories. Also, you're using grips on the flat bars as opposed to bar tape. With bar tape, once you get your brakes and everything set up, it's a huge commitment, especially if you want to change your cables over time or something like that. Whereas with the bar ends, with the bar grips, they can be a challenge to take off, but they can be reused over and over again in a way that bar tape cannot. This next reason goes back to the comfort level. Now, when you're choosing a flat bar bike, I would suggest it for casual riders, commuters, people who are using the bike functionally. And a lot of the time when you're using the bike functionally, you're going more reasonable distances under 10 miles. If you regularly want to go for epic adventures, 50-mile adventures, then I'd probably look into drop bars or alternative bars if you're using your bike for touring. But that upright position, it just takes a little pressure off your hands, your wrists, your neck. And it's just, again, more of a relaxed ride. So for everyday trips or for casual riders or for fair weather riders where you're someone who wants to ride when it's a lovely day out, it's just an overall better option. It's going to be more comfortable for you and it's going to put less strain on some of those joints. Now, as a bike dork, this is definitely one of my favorite reasons for flat bars is the configuration. They're cheaper to maintain. Because you're using flat bars, the shifters and the brakes are separated. So when you're shopping for components on your bike, you just have a wider range of components that you can put on your bike. For example, on my flat bar Poseidon X, I was able to upgrade to hydraulic brakes without having them to be integrated into my shifter. My shifter could be something totally different. And when you're going for a drop bar bike, your shifters, whether you're able to use hydraulic brakes or not, are totally dependent on those shifters. The shifters and the brakes, they have to be integrated and hydraulic, whereas on a bike that is flat bar, they can be separated. So the amount of configurations you can have and the amount of choices of drivetrain that you can choose on a flat bar bike is way greater, therefore making it cheaper because you can always find cheaper components that still work fantastically on your bike. I really feel that drop bars are for people who are super dedicated cyclists and you know that you're going to be riding rain or shine all year round through any sort of weather. But I feel like for the more casual person who knows, hey, I might take a few weeks, maybe even a month off my bike and get back into it, there's no riding position that you have to get used to being in. I feel like with the drop bars, it's a way, not always, but it tends to be a little bit of a more aggressive position to be in. You know, if you're not racing or crushing 100-mile rides, a flat bar bike is way more practical. It's perfect for fitness rides, commuting, or just enjoying your freedom on two wheels. And I would also argue that when you start to tour, when you start doing touring, a lot of people who ride touring bikes have started to use flat bars or alternative bars, kind of like I have on my Poseidon X. I would call them alternative bars, but they're still in the flat bar drivetrain configuration. I would say that, and those alt bars have a lot of positions that you might be missing if you just had straight flat bars. So in a way, when I say flat bars, I'm kind of talking about also alt bars, because you can use flat bar drivetrains on alt bar configurations, which is what I've done. My bike is essentially a flat bar configuration, but it's got a sweep back to it. It's a little bit different in terms of its comfort level. And so just kind of really, again, supports that. If you're just really trying to get out for fun, you're in an upright position. So when you're going on casual rides and you just want to observe the scenery and take in the beauty of the surroundings, they're a way better option. So I would say for the vast majority of riders, a flat bar option, if you're kind of considering or wondering what should I do, what should I ride, or you're feeling that pressure. I kind of felt like I had a lot of peer pressure to ride drop bars, and I did ride drop bars and I did get used to them and I have a great appreciation for them, and luckily I'm able to have both types of bikes. But I think the people who should consider flat bar bikes are people who haven't ridden for a long time and are just getting back into it. Commuters, casual or recreational riders, again, beginners, hybrid and gravel riders who want the comfort over speed, anyone with wrist, neck, or back issues. So, and I honestly think like, depending on the geometry of the bike might alter the speed and the way you configure it. So if you want to ride with people with drop bars, you're not necessarily going to be a great deal slower. It just depends on the rider, obviously, like how strong you are as a rider. But you can still go out on adventures with your friends with drop bars, especially if you have good partners who are willing to, like, you know, regulate their pace so that you can all stay together. So I would say, you know, don't feel peer pressure to use drop bars if you really think that flat bars are for you, because I feel like that's what happened to me, is that I felt really pressured to use drop bar bikes or configure my bikes in a drop bar way, which if you get used to it and you're really dedicated to cycling, you know you're going to cycle no matter what, then sure, drop bars are great. But if you're kind of not sure and you're really still considering it, I think flat bars are a really, really great option, and they should be really considered when you're looking for a new bike or you're looking for a used bike. And so, you know, I would like my friends, as usual, to comment in the section below. What do you think? Do you think drop bars are better, flat bars are better? What do you think are the best situations to use either? Again, stay safe out there. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk soon.